Now that we're done with the basic shape of the head, we need to create the eyes. Since the eyes are basically spheres, just make a copy of the head and shrink it down. Now remember, a South Park character has very large eyes. We have to be sure that we do that when creating this model. If not, it'll look kind of strange. It happened to me several times that I created a model with eyes that were a little too small. With a little bit of practice, you can get it right. Keep playing around with it until you see something that you like. Rotate it off to one side and put it on either the left or the right hand side. In this case, I'll put it on the right. Use the center line as a guide. Remember, in a South Park character, the eyes are touching at the center line, so there will be a little bit of overlap there. Switch to a different view, and you'll see the sphere is off to one side. We'll move it back a little, and we have to resize it too. You've got to be sure that you position the eyes properly. Remember, the head has a slight curvature to it. When positioning the eyes, you have to be sure to account for this curvature. Just take your time and make sure you position it properly. Now we switch to the front view, and here we're going to be making a copy of the eye. Use the copy tool, and then right-click on the object tool. Change the degrees from negative to positive, and you'll see that it flips as if it was mirrored. Now we toggle Y navigation, and move the eye over until it's almost touching the other one. Now we need to give the eyes a slight rotation to account for the curvature of the head. We use the Look at Current Object tool, which centers our view about the eyes. Clicking on the selector sphere, we now use the rotational diamonds, and we give them both a slight rotation. We now need to create the pupils for the eyes. Now, they're spheres, so simply make a copy of the head as you did earlier for the eyes, and size it down properly. You'll notice as you bring the size down, the eyes tend to obstruct the view because they're in front of the sphere. Simply move it off to one side and continue making it smaller. When you finally have the right size for the pupil, just zoom in a little and position it on the eye where it should go. Now, since we originally started with the sphere, you'll notice that it's currently inside the head. This slight problem is really easy to correct. All you need to do is use one of the solid view modes. Toggle navigation by the x-axis, and bring out the pupil so that it just rests on the surface of the eye. Now, you'll notice the pupils aren't exactly in the center. For South Park characters, they do tend to be more towards the middle. Simply make a copy of it, move it over to the other eye. Toggle navigation by the y-axis. Now we see that the eyes are complete. Now, it's just my personal preference, but I prefer to work in either wireframe or the semi-transparent mode. Now, in order to reset the view, simply click on the Reset View icon. This is a quick and easy way to bring your view back to the origin. Just like in many popular Windows programs, you could use Control-C to make copies of things. In this case, I made a copy of the head, and we're going to use this as the little ball that goes on top of the hat. Position it slightly off-center, and size it down a little. Move it around until you think you have it on the right spot. Now the last thing we need to add to complete Stan's head would be his mouth. This can easily be created by using the Add Curve tool. Simply click a few times until you've created a cartoon mouth. Then click on the Close Curve icon, which will close your curve. Now you can edit the handles on all the control points until the desired effect is reached. In this case, I'm going to make it so that he's smiling. But in some situations where you want him to frown, you could either flip the smile upside down or create the frown from scratch. Remember, if you need additional control points, you could always add or delete them using the Add or Delete Curve Point tool. What we need to do now is turn this curve into a polygon. The easiest way to do it would be by left-clicking a tool such as the Object Subtraction tool. Now we have the shape for the smile. We now use the Sweep tool and we extrude out the mouth. Now this is a little too high, so we right-click on the Sweep tool and we bring the value down to 0.1. Now this is ready to be placed on the head. We simply switch to the front view, and we're going to start to size the mouth accordingly so that it will fit on the character properly. Remember, you can rotate in 90-degree increments by holding down the right mouse button here. Turn it a little to the left, and it seems to be rotated properly now. All we need to do is size it down. Looks good right around there. Now, we switch our view, and we notice it's too far off to the right. We just bring it in by toggling Y navigation. Be sure to bring it close to the head. We use the Look at Current Object tool and we zoom in. Now, this needs to be rotated to match the curvature of the head. Simply rotate it and move it so that it's just touching the head. Make sure that the gap between the mouth and the head is not visible. Once you think you got it right, switch to perspective view and check out your results. Here we've resetted the view to see how everything looks. If you'd like, turn on the solid drawing mode and then give it a quick test render to make sure everything looks good.